For this first set of questions, we need to solve and graph the inequalities. For this particular one, all we have to do is divide by -7 to solve for x. We do need to remember that anytime we divide by a negative number, then we have to switch the direction of the sign, so that less than symbol becomes a greater than symbol when we do that step. -84 divided by -7 is +12. When we graph this, I like to take a look at the variables that represents our solution. The solutions need to be smaller than the 12. So if we put our 12 here on the number line, 11, 13, and you could continue to number that, put an open circle on 12, and our solutions are smaller, so we're going to end up graphing over to the left side. Make sure you have an arrow there. On question number 2, we need to start with the distributive property. 9 times -7 is -63. 9 times 8 is 72. It's positive, so plus 72m is greater than or equal to 297. So adding 63, we'll get that on the other side. Add 63 to this side here. That gets us 360 on this side. So we're left with 72m is greater than or equal to 360. Divide this by 72, and we get m greater than or equal to, stays the same direction, 5. So we're going to have 5, 4, 6, finish numbering the number line. This is a closed circle this time because we're allowing it to be equal to 5. And our solutions are greater than the 5, so we shade over to the right hand side, and that finishes this up. On here we have to do the distributive property in a couple of different places and start combining like terms. -14 times -3 gets us +42 there. -14 times -12x gets us +168x. When we distribute the 10 times -3 gets us -30, and 10 times 15x gets us +150x. Haven't done anything to the other side, so we have 12 is less than or equal to. Now we can start to combine like terms. We've got our two numbers here, 42 and -30, get us 12 when we combine those. These are also like terms, the 168 and the 150. Put those together and we get +318x. Still have a 12 on this side as less than or equal to. Alright, let's subtract the 12 to get rid of that. Get it over on the other side over here. 12 minus 12 is 0. And on this side also 12 minus 12 is 0. So we end up with 0 is less than or equal to 318x. Finish this out by dividing by 318. 0 divided by any number, including 318, is still just 0. So we end up with x and 0 here. So reading this from our variable, we say our solutions are going to be bigger than or equal to the 0. So we have 0, -1, 1, and finish numbering out that number line. Because we have an equal sign here, we have a closed circle, and our solutions are bigger, so we're going to shade again over to the right hand side. On this one, we'll distribute here on the right hand side. 5 times 2x gives us 10x. 5 times -8 is -40. And the left hand side stays the same, so we have 10x minus 27 still less than or equal to. Add the 27, get this over onto the right hand side, and we have 10x is less than or equal to 10x. -40 plus 27 is -13. We'll subtract that 10x on both sides. The variable is going to disappear in both places. We get a 0, so that leaves us with 0 is less than or equal to -13. Now the variable never mattered, it disappeared, and we end up with this, which is not a true statement. 0 is not less than or equal to -13, so there is no solution on this one. And if there is no solution, then we're not going to graph anything, so you just leave that blank. For the next set of questions, we're going to have to turn these word problems into some inequalities. So we have a number y, that would give us y, minus 12.6, it's just going to be minus 12.6 as read there, is more than, so that would be greater than symbol, and negative 7 there. That's all we have to do on this one. Next we say 5 is no less than. If it's not less than, then 5 can be greater than or equal to. Both of those would make it so it's not less than something. And on the other side we have the sum. So we're going to add some things together. 6 times the number p and 5 are what we are adding together. So that would give us the expression right there. Here we've got to write and solve an inequality. That's our task. It represents how many hours the woodworker can spend building the cabinet. So I'm going to use the variable h. Will represent the number of hours worked. Alright, now I'm going to take a look at this right here. The woodworker wants to make $32 per hour. That's kind of the key thing here. So our hourly wage needs to be greater than or equal to $32. Now this right here gives us something to work with. How do we calculate an hourly wage? Well, in order to calculate that, we're going to take the amount of money that we earn and we're going to divide it by the number of hours. That's dollars per hour. We want that to be greater than or equal to 32. Now h, hours, that's our variable right there. The money that we earn is given by a couple of numbers here. It says the cabinet sells for $620 and he paid $268 for materials. So we sold $620, but we didn't make that much money. We have to take out the cost of materials, so minus $268. We'll divide that by h and we have greater than or equal to 32. Now that's the way I like to think of it. You could rearrange this, and we're going to rearrange it in a second, so maybe some of these other forms make a little bit more sense to you, but the thing I don't like about the way that I've set this up is that our variable h is in the denominator. That's going to make it so we have to multiply to get that out of there. So we're going to multiply by h and multiply by h. That will move it out of the denominator. So we end up with now 620 minus 268 equals 32h. Sorry, not equals. It needs to be greater than or equal to. That's that symbol we had right here. All right, calculate this. 620 minus 268 gets us 352. That needs to be greater than or equal to 32h. Finish this out by dividing by 32, and we end up with h and 11. Alright, now I'm going to flip this around so it can read a little bit more like a sentence. I need some extra space here, so let me clean this up. If I put the h on the left-hand side, then we need it to still be the smaller number, so h is less than or equal to 11. That means the number of hours worked needs to be less than or equal to 11. So h is less than or equal to 11 hours is our solution. And the equation could be this or any other form of it. So if you had any of the equations along the way, such as this one or this one, then all of those could go here. Inequalities, excuse me, I've been saying equations. But any of those inequalities would satisfy or any other variations thereof. Now on all of these questions we go through and I have chosen a particular order to do things, but you might have chosen a different order. For example, maybe instead of combining like terms, you add this 30 to get it over on the other side with the 12. There are lots and lots of different possible ways to solve each of these questions. As long as you are doing the correct steps and you end up with the correct answer, then that should be good to go. Thank you very much and good luck.